Welcome to the With Clarity and Purpose podcast with your host, Yanet Borrego. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message to empower you to live life on your terms so you can be who you want to be, do what you are meant to do, and have the life you deserve to have. We will provide you with practical and cutting-edge approaches to continue getting clarity and direction on your path, mastering your mindset, and gaining confidence to tap into your inner wisdom so you can live on purpose. Welcome to episode 2 of With Clarity and Purpose, and today's topic is about the syndrome of perfectionism. I know I have struggled with it. I still do sometimes, and a lot of my coaching clients do also. So I figured this was going to be a good topic so all of you can benefit from it and you can start taking action. Perfectionism, it's really interesting because one of the first things that come to my mind, in those job interviews, when they ask you, what is your weakness? And people would say, oh, I'm a perfectionist. Some people wear perfectionism as a badge of honor. Oh, I'm a perfectionist, I need to wait to start until all of this is perfect. But perfectionism is no different than procrastination. Why? Because it's just another vehicle that we use sometimes to not start whatever we want to work on. And I was thinking deeply in my mind because I think this is ingrained at the unconscious level of our society. And I was thinking in my mind, and I was like, what exactly happens earlier on in our life that may be of influence to these perfectionism tendencies of people, right? Of not wanting to fail, or maybe not wanting to be perceived as they are not being perfect, they are not doing it great. And I was thinking back in school, a lot of our earlier years in our life, we spent school. And after we finish school, including bachelor, if you're doing master, PhD, or anything else, after we finish, we spend the rest of our life, a lot of those hours in a career, in a job, whatever job you decide to have. But even when we are in childhood, when we are children, our educational system teaches us that there is always a right answer. And as the incentive of getting this right answer in our tests, in our quizzes, or whatever methodology you experienced in your educational years, as an incentive of always getting the right answer, you always get a good grade. So I think we have been programmed since earlier on to knowing that there is always a right answer in that paper, in that multiple choices. And when we get that right answer, then we get rewarded. So it has been this incentivized system of always having it right, always having it perfect. Because guess what? When you don't have it right in an exam, when you don't have it right in a test, what happens? You don't get rewarded. It happens, the opposite happens. You actually get subtracted a point or something. You may get a bad grade, etc. So I think that since earlier on in our brains, we have been programmed that in order to incentivize, we must be perfect. We must have the right answer. And in our educational years, everything was pretty linear, right? If you think about it, you studied hard, you got a good grade, you got opportunities. Everything was just connecting the dots in a linear way. When we are done with those educational years, guess what happens? We join the workforce. And in the workforce, nothing is linear. It can go in different ways. And in life, things are not linear. In life, a lot of times things is about knowing how to experience the cycles that we go through. And the important part, not to go up in a linear way, but is to cycle up. And even whatever form that cycle, maybe it's not a cycle, maybe it's like a spiral or something. Whatever form that adopts, the main thing is always to progress. I love what Tony Robbins says. He says progress equals happiness. And I totally agree, because we always want to do better. It doesn't matter what area you are focusing on, either career, relationships, family, health. We always want to do better because we want to have the major impact in ourselves and in society that we can have. And perfectionism, it's actually a big obstacle to getting better, because you cannot be perfect if you don't even start. The only way to perfect something, to make something better, is to do it and give it a go. And while you're walking that path or that initiative or designing that project or improving that relationship, then you get more feedback. And with feedback, you improve. And then as you walk farther and farther, you become smarter about the decisions you make. I mentioned this in the previous episode. There is no failure, only feedback. And it is important to continue collecting those data points in order for us to be better. You are not alone. I've definitely struggled with perfectionism. One of the first stories or situations that come into my mind was this 100-day meditation challenge that I did back in, I think it was 2019. 2019, I had this amazing idea of doing a 100-day meditation challenge. And let me explain you what that entailed. Each day, I was going to meditate for 1 hour in silence. And after meditating, I was going to go to social media, Instagram and Facebook, and post a video of my insights during that meditation. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minutes video, however long I did it. And I remember just starting day 1 of the 100-day meditation challenge. And during that day 1, I meditated, cool. I was like, okay, now I have to record a video, an insight. What is an insight that I got? And then I was thinking, and I decided to record a video. And I did it once, and I did it twice, and I did it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I wanted the video to be perfect. And I did it like 20 times. And after like the 20th time of not loving the video, I got a realization. And the realization was, Yanet, this is day 1 of 100 days. And you have spent like 1 hour trying to record this 5 minutes video. How are you gonna make it to the 100 days if in day 1 you wanted it to be perfect? And at that moment I realized, and I made the commitment to myself, I'm gonna learn as I go. Maybe in day 1 I'm not gonna be as good as in day 20, and then by day 100, day 100, I'll be just a lot better than when I started. And I made a commitment to myself of recording the video, and immediately, whatever thing came out of my mouth at that time, I was going to post. Because it wasn't about perfection, it was more about progress and consistency. And that's something that really helps me. It's focusing on making progress, focusing on being consistent, and your best is gonna be different every single day. Something that I wanted to mention that also helps me is a lot of times we are focused on the details, on the granular part. Oh my God, this video is not coming the right way that I wanted. What helped me a lot, and I've done this with several people in my coaching business, you gotta be able to see that same situation from a higher purpose, from a higher level. I was thinking of the day 1 video, but then I had to take myself out of that situation and think of my bigger vision. And I was like, this is 100 days. I mean, day one. I gotta let go of that perfectionism and I gotta start and keep going. So just taking yourself and looking at the situation at a higher level and just bringing your vision back, your why, helps a lot to put things into perspective. Another story that I wanted to share with all of you was the story about my business cards. So my brand strategist, Lindsay Creative, she's amazing. I actually interviewed her for one of these episodes, so you'll meet her soon. She designed my business cards and she's like, Janet, what is your website? And I'm like, oh, my website. And then I gave her the website that I wanted. Immediately after I gave her that website, I made sure that it was available on the internet, that the domain was available, and then I reserved it. She got my business cards done. I love them. And I started to just circulate them. I started to give them to people, even though my website was not done. So it wasn't perfect. Everything that I had in the business card, like my website wasn't even existent. But I had to change my perspective and put myself up there and let go of that granular detail and bring back the vision. Hey, now I have my own business, right? I gotta market myself. I gotta let myself be known. And if the website is not available, my cell phone is there, my email is there. So just bringing yourself back to that higher level of perspective is really important. That was back in May, I believe, and I literally finalized my website beginning of this month, and I was totally okay with it. So I think as you continue to execute, you get more comfortable with this concept of bringing your bigger vision and just for a moment, letting go of those granular details, because it's going to happen. If you're committed to a process, I was committed to creating my website and it happened. It just didn't happen on the order you would expect, but all the elements on that business cards, now they are live. So it's about keeping that higher vision always in front of you. A couple of tips to let go of that perfectionism. I mentioned this one a couple of times already, right? Have that bigger vision, have that why in front of you. And whenever you are seeing yourself focusing on those granular details, you gotta snap out of that and think of the bigger vision. I love what they have, companies have when they're developing a digital tool. They develop first and design first the MVP, minimum viable product. And this is the product with the least amount of functionality and elements that is gonna get the job done, the main job done. And that's why you need to think of your initiatives and projects. What is the simplest thing that I can design that will get the job done? And in my case was those business cards, even though I didn't have the website right there. So that's number one, always keeping in mind your vision. The number two is remembering that perfection is just procrastination, right? So when you bring that into perspective, what you gotta know is that you gotta take that first step. You gotta start. And that takes me to number three, consistency and progress over perfection. You gotta be able to have integrity with your word and demonstrate to yourself that you can make it happen on a consistent basis. And when you start doing that, things start getting a lot easier because you start realizing that you're learning as you go. And the other tip that I was gonna give related to that is be an eternal student. You're not gonna get it perfect or maybe right the first time. You're learning as you go. So as you're walking the path and taking one step at a time, as I mentioned in the beginning, you continue getting more bits of information. So just start, be open to learning on the way, and just make it happen. Have fun on the process and explore. That's what life is about. It's about experimenting in every step of the way. Now, I always leave you with one question, and today's episode is no exception. The one question for this week for all of you, my lovely community, is to think, what are those things that you have been procrastinating about? That you have been wanting to have all the information to start so it can be perfect. What are those things? And once you realize and just gain insights of what those things are, remember to start with action. Prioritize those things, because maybe there are a couple. What is the most important one? What is gonna get you the highest value with the least effort? And after that you have prioritized those things, just take it a go. Just make it happen. Take your first step, which is the important one. We all start with one first step. I love the quote that it says, hey, a journey of 1,000 miles, it starts with that first step. We are all right there, and I'm all right there with all of you. We are all in this journey. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.